Hi, I'm Vicky and I am Peer Support Coordinator at MS UK. Now, I'm hoping that most of you would have heard about our peer support service and specifically the peer pods, which are our online sessions which run mostly weeks and are made up of people that are living with MS and hosted by my wonderful MS UK volunteers. Anyway, so if you have ever looked about our peer pods and wondered what they look like, this is it. It's all done via Zoom. So we look like some kind of odd title sequence of the Brady Bunch.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. If you're old enough to remember what the Brady Bunch is. And no, liar. But like I said, they're all hosted by my volunteers, and I would like to introduce you to my volunteers today. This is just a select few. I'm going to go around the room, as it were, and let them say a little bit about themselves and why they volunteer for MS UK. So my first victim will be, let's go with Emma.
Thanks. Spot. Right. So I'm Emma. I have had relapsing remitting MS for 15 years now. I got involved with MS UK. I first of all started with a poetry writing course and thoroughly enjoyed doing that online, and directed to the peer pod support services and thought, oh, that looks something that I'd be interested in doing. Because I'm not working anymore, I thought it would be a lovely way to speak to other MSs in similar situations to me. And I currently co-host the newly diagnosed peer pod, which runs on a Monday night at 7 o'clock, with Lisa, who is actually on this call right now. So it's been wonderful meeting so many other MSs, not just for the feeling that you get that you're providing support for others, the feeling that I get. It's wonderful knowing that you've got a group of new friends who can catch up with every week. So it's been a wonderful thing for me to do.
Thank you, Emma.
You're welcome.
So we'll best go to your co-host, Lisa, next.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I obviously co-host the newly diagnosed pod with Emma. I was diagnosed with relapsing remitting MS in March 21. I stumbled across the peer pods shortly afterwards, and they've been an absolute lifeline for me, meeting lots of people that have got answers to my questions and know exactly what I feel like when I talk to them about the symptoms that I'm experiencing.
Lovely. And why did you choose to volunteer for us?
Just to help other people that are in the same situation as me, really offering people a lifeline and friendly face to talk to.
Oh, thank you. And we're so glad you did. So next I'm going to go to Sarah, who is our longest standing volunteer.
Hi everybody, and I'm Sarah, and I host the Keeping Connected peer pod, which I run every other Tuesday, and we also have a WhatsApp group, and I usually send out a reminder to everybody, and people just drop in if they're available or they just want to chat. Going back a bit, I discovered MS UK about 5 years ago, and that was after about 10 years of being in denial about my MS. I was just soldiering on, just pretending it wasn't there, even though it was making itself known rapidly. And I was relapsing, remitting, but I sometimes feel that maybe I'm transitioning to secondary progressive, but it's just so difficult, you know, living with these labels. I'm not sure it's very helpful at times, really. But the thing about meeting other MSs at MS UK's Wellness Centre in Colchester, which I was very lucky to live nearby, instantly made friends with people I just thought I was just going to be so nervous meeting. But it was brilliant. And Vicky was there, and she wanted to keep us all in touch with each other. So when lockdown occurred, the first lockdown, she kept us together in a Zoom group, the people I used to meet up with every Tuesday. So we called ourselves the Tuesday Gang. And it was so lovely to have my friends still available to chat to. And I've got this new network of MSers who are really firm friends now, and so many acquaintances in all the peer pods. And it's just great to have that network where you know there's people who, we're all different, that's true, all different MSs and different symptoms, but we all just get it, you know. So the symptoms I have are different to somebody else's, but I really understand, having got MS, I understand how it is for people. And it's such an important network to me now. So I was thrilled when Vicky asked me to volunteer to lead really the first peer pod that we had, wasn't it, Vicky?
It was.
And, yeah, and it's been such fun. And what's great about it is that I'm meeting MSs from all over the country now, because this has gone nationwide with MS UK online. And it's just brilliant meeting so many people from across the country. And I now have a buddy, and I've got a buddy chat with her at 3 o'clock this afternoon after this. And she lives in Oslo in Norway. And, you know, the peer pod thing didn't quite suit her. And so I became a buddy to her. And it's just great to have so many friends now that have that MS background, but we don't talk about MS all the time. You know, we just talk about normal things because we're all normal people. We just happen to have this rather vindictive, uninvited guest inside ourselves, you know, that we just have to somehow live with positively. So, yeah, it's been brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah. I'm going to go on to Carrie next, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm. Hi, everybody. I'm Carrie, and I've had MS for 30 years. In fact, more than that, about 31, 32 now. And I've never met anybody with MS deliberately because I was scared to. But during lockdown, I was fiddling around on the internet, on Facebook, etc. And I'm in quite a few MS Facebook groups. And then I came across MS UK. Thought, what's that? So went on the website, and eventually, well, very soon actually, I started doing their exercise class and their yoga, and then the peer pods. I got involved in a media peer pod on Mondays, and that's great. And we've become a really tight bunch and talk about everything to do with MS and everything not to do with MS, everything to do with media, radio, TV, podcasts, etc., etc. And then I now host a women's podcast on a Friday morning, which is an overspill really from the Thursday evening women's pod, which became so popular, it became a little bit overpopulated.
It did.
And we talk about everything to do with life and living with MS. And sometimes it can get quite personal because MS affects us in very personal ways. And again, we formed a tight WhatsApp network, and it's been just a brilliant way of chatting with other people who, as other people here have said, really get it, where non-MSers don't. Not that that's their fault, but they just can't. So this has been a lifeline.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. And the volunteering, what do you get out of that?
I suppose I get a sense that I'm helping to connect people.
Absolutely.
As well as obviously getting a lot out of it myself.
That's great to hear. And I think that's the key thing, isn't it, really, is that this has to be, if you're going to give up your time and energy, it really needs to be something that benefits yourself as well. It's not just about, you know, providing a service, it's actually what you're getting from it yourself. So it's really lovely to hear that all of you are benefiting, you know, in your own ways as well, which is lovely. It's certainly very satisfying for me to be a part of. And finally, last but by no means least, Chrissy.
Hi, I was diagnosed about 25 years ago, but I had symptoms before that. I was actually undiagnosed, so lived without a diagnosis for several years and then re-diagnosed. And the opposite probably to Carrie, I immediately started looking for things, even though my GP had said, don't go joining groups because you'll be scared to death by everything. But what I did find was a young MS group. And the only thing I actually learned from there was, one, they wanted me to be on the committee, and two, I should up my good oils. So those are the only two things I learned. Anyway, my pod is slightly different to the others in that I run the poetry pod, and it came about because I did the poetry course that I think it was Sarah mentioned. I can't remember now. Who's it? See, short-term memory. Short-term memory. Can't remember anything. I think I'd done something else first, but I did the poetry course. Well, I did a taster first, and then we did an 8-week course. And I really enjoyed it. And I'd been a science-based person, so I'd not kind of continued with any kind of writing or anything when I was younger. And I liked the other people on the course as well. So towards the end, I said, what about if we get to continue, and I'll offer to facilitate it, because I'm really bad at not continuing things, and some of it's memory and some of it's just I don't know what, and so I said, if I have the responsibility of setting up the date and getting everyone on board, then I'll be there. So we've only had a few meetings, I can't remember, not very many, and it's been nice. We've had one new member join from a follow-up poetry course. We only meet monthly, not weekly, and so far what we've done is we've had a topic each month and we write about that topic. But I also like to do a little bit of research in between and find new sources of poetry. And like the other day I bought a book, so I showed the group a book and things like that. A real
live book?
Yes, an actual book. I bought 2 actual books, to be honest. But also I found poetry on Facebook, and you see, and songs, of course, are poetry. One of our new member of the group from the second poetry course who's joined us actually sets a lot of his poems to ukulele music, so we get renditions as well, so it's very entertaining. But we've agreed that people should only join after they've done the poetry course, because we've all got the same basis. Then what do I get out of it? It makes me do something. I like to interact with people. One of the other things is meeting Vicky's been great as well. We've realised we've got so much in common. And I live 440 miles away from Colchester, although I used to live close by. I'm in Scotland, so I would never have met most of the other peer pod people or the volunteers without it. There's one person in my group who I already knew, but that seemed unusual. So and the poetry itself just takes me out of everything. I moved house just for Christmas, and it was incredibly stressful. It nearly didn't happen. And so having the poetry course and knowing there was a group of people who got the other side of it, the MS side of it, was just really great, just really, really good.
Yeah.
And Vicky knows, she heard it all.
The long old process.
The longest move in history. So, but yeah, and I think I'm going to try and join some of the other pods, but because I've been trying to kind of make a new network where I've moved to, that's kind of taken a back seat. But I'm going to do that as well. So yeah, great. It's been a great idea, I think. And I did other Zoom things through lockdown as well. So the fact that this is continuing is excellent, really good.
Yeah, oh, I'm so pleased. And, you know, like I said, I can't thank any of you enough, because we wouldn't have a peer support service without you. It's been wonderful. And you are just a handful. We've got several other volunteers. But as you know, as everything, we're evolving all the time. We'd love to have more pods, you know, with different themes. So if anybody has got ideas about other things they'd like to see, but our main issue is actually recruiting volunteers in the first place. So if you are interested in what you've heard here today, and feel like it's something that you would, one, be interested in kind of facilitating, and two, just getting something out of it yourself and that kind of sense of purpose and meaning, then we'd really love to hear from you. And I think that's about it for today, but do get in contact with us at peersupport@ms-uk.org, and we hope to see some of you soon. Take care.